Are Skylar and Reagan really the sports buffs that they think they are? Who's winning today's fit check, the Bellas or the fellas? And will the water cooler ever be the same without the seniors? I already know the answer to that one, but stay tuned to find out the answer to the first two questions on this extra special hour-long episode of The Water Cooler. Good evening and welcome to The Water Cooler. I'm Paige Arredondo on the desk with Carlo Jimenez, Nicole Sheeran, and Alex Blau. We have a jam-packed desk and a jam-packed show, so let's get right into it with Water Cooler Talk. All right, how are you guys feeling? It's the last show of the semester.
Crazy.
I know. Nicole, your last show ever.
I know. Stop.
With us
we don't
ever.
talk about it. No. Not yet.
All right, how are you guys feeling?
Great.
Water cooler talk is actually my favorite kind of talk.
It's the best kind of talk.
I think so.
Yeah.
Agreed. Okay. Well, draft day is here, and we're strapped in for every earth-shattering hug between a 250-plus pound man and Roger Goodell. The fate of pro football for 32 teams lies in these 3 days. Who will be the first to spring from the green room, and who will be left to sweat it out? Is someone going to bet the whole franchise on a big trade up to draft a QB? In the coming hours, the cold reality of the final draft results will put an end to all the speculation about this year's group of players. The first few picks are in, yes, guys? So, Okay, so with the first pick of the 2022 NFL Draft, I believe the Jacksonville Jaguars took Trayvon Walker.
Crazy.
What are you guys' thoughts?
Whoa.
You're the Georgia woman.
I am the Georgia girl. I will say, of course, I gotta go with my dogs. I like it, but I'm very surprised. Like, I thought Aiden was gonna be an easy first pick right off the bat, but there was talk late about Trayvon being that first pick, so I'm not really that surprised, but I'm also incredibly surprised.
Is Jacksonville in self-sabotage mode? Like, do they they just
Hey,
not
man,
like?
So I heard rumors going into the pick that the owner, Shad Khan, wanted Aiden Hutchinson.
Okay.
Coach Doug Peterson, wanted to replicate what he did in Philadelphia, build up that O-line, just run through everyone. But the GM, Trent Baalke, the guy who hired Urban Meyer, may I remind you, said, we're taking this guy out of Georgia. And you know what? It happened. So I'm at a loss for words. They pick him to play a position that he didn't really scheme for in college. So we're going based purely off athleticism. I mean, hey.
As a current Niner fan and a former Trent Baalke hater, Trent Baalke might be the worst GM in all of sports. I mean,
I kind of agree.
I think he might be.
Yeah.
He almost exposed himself there, former.
I know you said former.
Good correction.
No.
All right, well, with the second pick of the draft, the Detroit Lions selected our Aiden Hutchinson, who we just touched on. He's the defensive end coming out of Michigan. Your guys' thoughts on Hutchinson?
I mean, that's like when you order 2 cookies and you get 3. Like,
Correct.
bonus money right now.
Even, 2 cookies get 5, like, honestly.
Yeah, I think it's probably the steal of the draft. Detroit's been begging for somebody on their defense they can rely on. Now they hopefully finally got a solid guy. Hall of Fame potential? I don't know. Maybe. We'll see.
Great
But I think
story,
he's going to
though.
be really solid for at least a decade.
Stays in Michigan. He'll be right by family.
It's true.
All right. Moving on, with the third pick, the Houston Texans selected Derek Stingley Jr. This is a little bit of a shocker. Your guys' thoughts on the cornerback from LSU?
This one kind of came out of nowhere. I was not expecting that.
Yeah.
I was not expecting that.
This made less sense to me than the first pick because we have a guy who had a tremendous freshman year.
Yeah.
But every year since has not looked the same. He's getting worse and worse. And then he wasn't even the best corner on the board. You know what I mean? They still had anyone to choose from. I don't know. Didn't make a lot of sense to me.
I mean, I've personally changed a lot since freshman year. I gotta imagine Stingley has as well. Let's be honest.
I heard you squatted 315 last night.
Yes, Carlo, can we just give a round of applause for that, please? Let's go.
That's right.
Quad.
All right, at number 4, the New York Jets selected Ahmad Sauce Gardner, cornerback from Cincinnati. Thoughts on this pick?
I mean, he's got the sauce.
He
no doubt
does
about
have the
that.
sauce.
A little questionable. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not sold completely on Sauce Gardner.
Yeah.
You play in the American Conference. It's easy to lock up guys who aren't the best receivers out there day in and day out.
Yeah, I mean 0 touchdowns though in his entire collegiate.
Against
That's
Who?
yeah.
Pretty incredible.
That's
stat.
impressive.
True.
You
Pretty
can't.
incredible stat. I think Bob Saleh, got his guy to really secure up the back end of that defense. The Jets, watch out, Giants. You may be the worst team in New York soon.
Whew.
Wow, Alex.
Fine.
All right, so who? I think that's all the news I have up to date. Correct me if I'm wrong. I'm not sure if we have a 5th pick yet, but who do you guys think are going to be the next names off the board?
Wilson, he's coming any second. I mean, that's what I think at least.
I mean, I think with the 5th pick, if I'm the Giants and I have the 5 and the 7, and we have Carolina in the middle, and they could take an offensive lineman, I think we may see Evan Neal.
Evan Neal, yeah.
At the 5 here to New York.
All right. All right, and then who of the 4 picks so far are going to have the best career?
That's tough. That's tough.
I'll go
Oh.
first because I think the first 4, based off the first pick and the 3rd pick being what they were, have made it easy for me to say sauce, man. Bring the sauce to New York. We got the Big Apple, we got the sauce, we got the applesauce. It just makes sense to me.
I'm going
I think it's
Hutchinson.
gonna
I was
That's
gonna say,
insane.
I
yeah.
mean, this is a guy who's less distractions. The only worry for Ahmad is he's playing in New York.
But if you're scheming against Detroit, who are you scheming against besides Aiden Hutchinson?
That's fair. That's fair. That's
I
a
get
good
it,
point.
though.
Amon-Ra
young
St. Brown
boys.
can only play one side of the field. You know what I mean?
That's what you think.
That's what I think. Prove me wrong, Amon-Ra.
Just to do it, I'll go with Trayvon Walker.
Okay,
My dog.
nice. Yeah,
I
your
don't
dog.
know.
Must
He may have a little bit of a
hot.
hothead right now because he was the first pick.
Uh-huh.
So maybe he needs to be humbled just a little bit and then
All
ride
right.
it.
Well, it's
So
definitely
you're going to be
be
watching Jacksonville games this year?
Yeah, I am. You
Yes.
bet. In my Georgia jersey, baby.
You got one viewer,
You
baby.
got me. You
That's
got
it.
me.
All
That's
right,
it.
moving on. When talking about USC sports here on the water cooler, we tend to focus mostly on football and basketball. But it's about time we shed some light on all the other great sports USC has to offer. So let's quickly recap the feats of some of the most talented athletes on campus. Who wants to start with their favorite sport?
Sure.
Oh,
I'll
yeah, go
ahead.
for it.
Yeah, yeah. A baseball team won 2 days ago by a score
Nice.
of 13-7. Now the squad hasn't been doing so well as of late, guys. They've lost 10 of their last 13, but hey, step in the right direction. Rylan Thomas hitting .350 in conference play. He's been terrific. Trojans need to find some sort of consistency that's not inconsistency, but hopefully they can figure it out.
Yeah, I mean, a win's a win. But I'm going to take us to the beach, guys, for this one.
Nice.
So, USC Beach Volleyball, the Pac-12 tournament is happening right now in Tucson. They've been doing great. They're number 1 right now. They beat Oregon. They beat Arizona at 11:30 a.m. this morning. Sweeped 3-0. They're riding all the way to the Pac-12 championship. So it's no doubt they're going to beat UCLA because it's going to be a USC-UCLA matchup in the championship. Trojans are taking home the Pac-12 crown. They're killing it.
I'd love to hear that. I'm going to go ahead and take us to the clay, USC tennis.
Oh, the clay. Oh,
Big weekend last weekend. Both men's and women's had the Pac-12 tournament. The men's actually won it. And I ask you the question, how do you define a dynasty? To me, it's a three-peat.
Yeah.
The men's USC tennis team has won the Pac-12 tournament 3 years in a row, bringing their total to 6. Guys, we have a number 6 overall ranked player. We have a 53 ranked player. They're looking great. Women made it to the quarterfinals. Got knocked out. It's all right, though, because we have a number 7 overall tennis player on the women's team. Things are looking good.
All right, so
national play.
All right.
I'm going to talk a little bit about USC track and field, who continuously dominates. They've had meets week after week. The most recent, the Mount Sac Relays. This is a world-renowned race, and a lot of Trojan alum actually showed face, including Allison Felix, who is actually going to be our senior commencement speaker. Shout out Allison. Michael Norman took second in the men's invitational elite 200-meter dash with a time of 19.83, second in the world to the winner Fred Curley, and Trojan Rye Benjamin took third in the world as well with 21.1. So USC Track and Field is set to host the other LA school this weekend in their annual dual meet at Locker Stadium. But it's always exciting to watch them run. And we stay producing Olympians, so
Facts.
who
That's
wouldn't
true.
want to watch?
Absolutely.
Can't argue with that.
Who wouldn't want to watch the future of the
Future one right here.
Olympics?
Alex Blau.
Right here.
Right here.
Remember the name.
That's save that for hot takes. It's so nice. It's so nice to acknowledge the accomplishments of other athletes in the Trojan family because all of USC student athletes contribute to keeping the legacy alive. A few ex-Trojans have been keeping the legacy alive on the court during the 2022 NBA playoffs. DeMar DeRozan, Nikola Vucevic, and DeAnthony Melton were in the middle of exciting first-round matchups. The first round, however, is coming to a close, and let me tell you, it has been packed with plenty of excitement. The Boston Celtics became the first team to advance to the second round when they completed a sweep of the Brooklyn Nets on Monday. The defending champion Milwaukee Bucks punched their ticket for a second-round meeting with the Celtics last night after beating the Bulls in Game 5. Somewhere else in the East, MVP candidate Joel Embiid battled through a thumb injury but couldn't lead the Philadelphia 76ers past the shorthanded Toronto Raptors on Monday night. The series heads back to Toronto today and is currently underway. Embiid's former teammate Jimmy Butler had to watch from the sidelines as his Miami Heat closed out the Atlanta Hawks on Tuesday night and set up a second-round clash against the winner of the Sixers-Raptors series. The Western Conference series are quite a bit closer. The number 1 Phoenix Suns are about to tip off a massive Game 6 against the New Orleans Pelicans, where they have a chance to close it out. In Game 5, most improved player John Morant and the number 2 Memphis Grizzlies regained control of the series with the Minnesota Timberwolves. They will look to advance tomorrow night. And lastly, the Utah Jazz will fight to survive at home in a big Game 6 against Luka and the Dallas Mavericks tonight. The number 3 Golden State Warriors sent the Denver Nuggets home last night after pulling off a sweep. And round 1 is coming to a close. But you know we here on the Water Cooler believe it's never too early to predict who's going to take it all. So what are your guys' championship predictions?
I said it a few weeks ago, and it doesn't change here today. Golden State Warriors are going to be your next NBA champions. There's no doubt about it. Jordan Poole had an off night last night. He had 5 fouls and 8 points, and they still came away with the win. Mm-hmm. If he's even remotely close to 20 points a game, Wiggins can come and give you 18. I mean, the Warriors' offense is just too good for anybody to stop.
All right, guys, all I have to say is the Boston Celtics are the hottest team since the calendar flipped to January. They're taking the finals. They got Batman and Robin. Oh, who is Batman and Robin? Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum. You cannot argue with those two players. They're probably two of the best.
They got 2 scores? Warriors got 5.
All right, Carlo.
Warriors got 5.
All right, but Marcus Smart, NBA Defensive Player of the Year. Do you have that?
Yeah, Draymond Green.
No.
2-time NBA Defensive Player of the Year.
No. Here's the thing.
Keep it coming, though.
The Celtics are peaking at the exact right time, and they're going to get that, Carlo.
Yeah,
they're gonna get it.
yeah, okay.
Yeah.
I want to ask you, which one is Batman and which one's Robin?
Oh, Batman is
Jason
definitely.
Tatum?
No, I was going to say the other way
Jaylen
around.
You were
Yeah.
saying Jalen. Oh,
Yeah.
Wow.
that's hot.
Yeah.
Super
You know I
hot.
like my hot takes around here.
Wow.
I would have thought Tatum was Batman. Okay, you know what, guys? I was watching the Celtics Nets games. They were great.
Yeah, they
Everyone was great.
were.
I thought Celtics were going to win. Saw the Warriors games. I was like, oh, the Warriors are going to win.
Yeah, they are.
And then I watched the Miami Heat.
Oh.
Oh, jeez, here we go.
Let me tell you, it's easy to discredit them, okay? They went in the bubble to the championship, but we all know that those bubble postseason was just weird. The Lakers haven't been the same. The Heat last year were just terrible in the postseason, first round out. It's a different team this year, guys. The bench is arguably the best bench in the playoffs. Tyler Hero, arguably the 6th man of the year. No fight. Don't even give me that.
Alex, you're doing a lot of reaching right now.
Look, Jimmy Butler is a scoring
Reaching.
machine, puts up 42, puts up 36, puts up 25. When he doesn't play, Victor Oladipo steps in, balls. Their defense is amazing. I don't know. I would watch out for the Miami Heat this year.
All right,
Yeah,
guys.
maybe watch out, but like at the end of the day, it's Celtics, so.
Okay.
All right, there's a lot of heat here. We're not even at the great debate yet. I'm loving all this finals talk, so can we keep it going and head back to our own final memos from last week? Carlo's commentary was such a smashing success that we've decided to give him his own segment here on the Cooler called Carlo's Calls. Check it out.
3-2 pitch. Muncy swings, fouls one off down the right field line. A fan reaches up. Does he come with a baseball? No! It drops out of his hands into the seats, and he's able to get the
it's
recovery.
connected.
Scott-
What a celebration. At first you don't succeed. Try again. Tried with the fries in the left hand. Dropped them out. Fan below. Had a chance with 2 hands. Could not come up with it. And then an extra effort to lean over. He'll take the souvenir for the fries. Get a quick pick with Pops. Here comes a 1-1 and a swing and a foul down the right field line. Is that towards the same fan? It's over that way. Here's the shot. He's reaching up for it. Does he have 2 baseballs? No! Instead, he's got a TFL from his father. Oh my goodness. Tackled into the back of his seat. His back being pushed against the people in front of him, and his pizza falls into the lady in front of him. Well, there's the side-by-side. One he came up with, the another, we might go home with a concussion. 3-2.
All right, what a shame. All the diving, and they only caught L's. But now Reagan Griffin Jr. has joined Nicole and I here on the desk, and we're going to switch to a more serious topic here with a deep dive. Sports play a huge role in society, but few of us pause to think about the larger questions about money, politics, sex, and culture, and commercialization that surround sports everywhere. For athletes, the hot take sticking to sports has never been that clear-cut and dry. In every corner of sports, athletes have long been some of the most vocal and expressive leaders at the forefront of change in society. Of course, one of the most defiant and memorable meetings of sports and civil liberties rights history occurred on the medal stand during the 1968 Olympics, when Tommie Smith, John Carlos raised their gloved fists to the sky. It signified the civil rights struggle and African Americans and introduced the Black Power movement to the global audience. But throughout sports history, there have been so many incredible displays of activism. I'm sure you guys will touch on a few examples. However, unfortunately, there will always be people who support the shut up and dribble side of the argument. The ones who argue that athletes are paid to perform, not to speak, and to just stick to sports, although everyone's profiting off of them, right? So guys, I know I presented a lot of conflicting ideas, but my main question for you is, what should the role of sports in society be?
I first want to shout out Felix, for our producer, for letting us have this question, because it's such an important one. Did y'all know today is the anniversary of the day that Muhammad Ali refused induction into the U.S. Army?
I actually had I didn't know that.
Today's the day that he did it, and he did so because, and I'm paraphrasing here, but essentially he was saying, ain't no Viet Cong ever did anything to me. My oppressor is right here in the United States. And that's kind of like the cornerstone of what this book I'm reading referred to as The Heritage, which is athletes stepping into the forefront of social justice movements and speaking for a lot of people who remain voiceless. Mm-hmm. But even from a broader point of view, the sociological concept of functionalism states that the components of a society are indicative of and indispensable to that society. Pretty much the parts of the whole represent the whole. Mm-hmm. And the United States is a functionalist society. When you look at different components of our world, it all kind of represents who we embody as a country. So when we look at what our sports do, whether that's militarism, whether that's imperialism, whether that's the relationship between labor, and whether that's, all sorts of hyper-capitalistic things that I could go into, it embodies who we are as a country. So if we don't take the opportunity that is sports to really look ourselves in the mirror and examine who we are, I'd say that we're doing ourselves an injustice, because sport is us, mm-hmm. right? Sport is just another example, another way that we can kind of look ourselves in the magnifying glass and see who we are in a different setting. That's what I think sports should represent in society.
No, I completely agree. I mean, sports bring people together, mm-hmm. is the bottom line. And like you said, it's a way to express yourself, however that is, however you want to take that. But touching on the athlete more specifically, the reality is, people look up to each and every athlete, whether it's the little kid who wants to be a pro football player one day, or someone like us who has our favorite player we watch every Saturday or Sunday night. Mm-hmm. All eyes are on them all the time, whether they really like it or not. And I think one of the things to touch on is the fact that people are listening to everything they have to say, and people are doing those actions at the same time. So I think it's great. Obviously, we have the luxury of being able to speak freely and share our ideas and our thoughts about things. Yeah. And I think athletes should be able to do the same exact thing, and however they take that, whatever they believe. I don't think they should feel that they have to act a certain way because all eyes are on them all the time. I think they should be able to do what they believe in, and that's the beauty of sports and of their role in sports, is that they have the freedom to do so.
Yeah, I was going to ask you a question basically on what you touched on. So then, how do you guys feel about the perspective that athletes are in the public eye and they are role models, so they're obligated to speak out? How do you feel about the athlete who doesn't feel so inclined to speak out?
It's a tricky question, because I think a lot of that question is inherent to race, right? the book I'm reading is called The Heritage. I'd recommend to anybody who's interested in the intersection of sports and society. But as a black person, as a person who's LGBTQ plus, as a person who's part of any marginalized community that doesn't have these opportunities to express and stand on a platform and speak volumes to power, I would say that no one ever has an obligation to, but you should strongly consider it, because there's a whole lot of people who wish they were in your position who could, right? So I'd say there's never an obligation to anybody to, be Muhammad Ali or be Kareem Abdul-Jabbar or be Jim Brown or whoever, Colin Kaepernick. No one is going to demand of you that you be a martyr, because at the end of the day, this man right here is no longer living out his dream as an NFL football player because he spoke up for people who couldn't speak for themselves or who weren't allowed to speak for themselves. No one should be obligated to do that. But if you do decide to go on that undertaking, you need to do so in a way that's going to uplift the right people. And it does it in a way that centers the people that need it the most. I think that's the most important thing to remember, is that we can't make it about the athletes as individual, but rather the communities that they're coming from and the communities that they're speaking on the behalf of.
Absolutely. It's also a voice for the voiceless. You kind of just touched on it. Like, these are the conversations that need to be had, and we touched on this the other week when we were talking about Leah Thomas, but the first step in our society is having these types of conversations, and athletes, that's, one way they can go about it is by starting these conversations. And I think that's a step in the right direction, but obviously there's no pressure. I don't want them doing something that they don't themselves believe in, because then you're starting on the wrong path from the start. But I think
creating a fake
exactly.
Yeah. All right, well, I always learn so much from you two having these conversations, so thank you. Being exposed to diverse perspectives is so essential to grow as a society, but when we return after the break, everyone's competitive spirit is going to be unleashed, and I promise you won't want to miss it.
You love Uber Eats, the #1 app for getting your favorite local and chain foods delivered right to your door. Uber Eats is proud to present Uber Feeds. We want to go all the way for our customers, which is why we will have Uber Feeds delivery drivers literally feed your meal to you. Safety is our #1 priority, which is why every driver is vaccinated. Better yet, download now and get a delivery and feeding absolutely free. Uber Feeds, stuffed in more ways than one. You love Uber Eats, the #1 app for getting your favorite local and chain foods delivered right to your door. Uber Eats is proud to present Uber Feeds. We want to go all the way for our customers, which is why we will have Uber Feeds delivery drivers literally feed your meal to you. Safety is our #1 priority, which is why every driver is vaccinated. Better yet, download now and get a delivery and feeding absolutely free. Uber Feeds, stuffed in more ways than one.
Welcome back to the Cooler, y'all. Before we do anything else, I have an announcement to make. Our boy, our homie Drake London, drafted #8 overall to the Atlanta Falcons. Come on now, we got to give it up to him. It's going to be a cool little tandem down there, him and Kyle Pitts. But after that, let's go ahead and do one of our favorite segments here on the Water Cooler. We're coming with some hot takes, steaming hot, piping hot, whatever hot you want to call it. We're going to get into it, man. So we're going to start with our lovely lady, Nicole Sharon. Hot pink for the hot takes.
Yes.
What you got for me today?
All right, Reagan. So NIL is bad for college athletics. Before you say anything, hear me out. Schools right now are in a bidding war for 17 and 18-year-old athletes, and it is heavily affecting recruiting in the worst way possible. So we need to stop the madness. I mean, Nico Emaleva got $8 million to go to Tennessee. Josh Connerly flipped to Oregon because there was a late NIL push. It's affecting recruiting in the worst way, and a line needs to be drawn because there isn't one right now.
Well, you know what? I'm inclined to say give those 17 and 18-year-olds millions of dollars. They earned it. But you know what? You got the hottest take right now because you got the only take.
Well, that's fair.
Yeah, you got it. Appreciate you. Next up, we got our hostess with the mostest, Paige Arredondo. What you got for me, Paige?
Okay, my hot take is that social media is becoming way too much of a distraction for professional athletes. I truly believe that KD will never be like legendary because of his Twitter. The way that he popped off to Charles Barkley about the whole ring chasing thing, I just think it's like inappropriate. His first thought after a game is to go check Twitter and respond to everyone who's trying to start beef. You have Kyrie tweeting at 3 a.m. on game day, which has fans and non-fans up in arms for no reason. It's just creating too much. You have Draymond Green tweeting laughing emojis when that was kind of funny. So don't get me wrong, I love the entertainment factor, especially in the NBA. I love how active they are on Twitter, but I do think that it's becoming a little too extra.
Too extra. You heard it here first from Paige. I will say I feel like social media is a distraction for everybody.
That's
so
that's also
I would
true.
say that's probably a little bit colder than Nicole's just because that's the truth.
All right, I'll
you know
take
what I'm
it.
saying? Thank you
Thanks,
very
Megan.
much, Paige. Next up, we got 315 squatting king, Carlo Jimenez. What you got for me,
I
bro?
appreciate it. You're a basketball fan, right?
I'm a huge basketball fan.
What if I told you I can make basketball better?
I would say what you got.
NBA should be played to a target score. I'm sick and tired of spending the last 2 minutes a game watching a free throw contest, all right? It's ridiculous. I don't need 2 minutes to just go 30 minutes of real time. Let's just get it over with and have a buzzer beater every single game.
Kind of like they do in the All-Star game?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. I'll tell you what. That's probably the hottest take we have so far because I'm not sure that too many people would agree with you, although it is really fun in the All-Star setting.
It is.
Go ahead, skedaddle,
I
man.
appreciate
Look at them
it.
strong legs. Okay, let's get Felix up in here, man. Always with the sauce. I see you with the Converse. What you got for me?
Thank you. I gotta say that football is a way more enjoyable sport to watch than football. Like, I don't like watching ads. Do you like watching ads?
I hate ads.
Football has so many ads. It takes so long. You watch a soccer game, football game, it takes 2 hours. You're watching it the entire time. It's clean. It's in, it's out. It's so enjoyable.
I'll tell you what, it is the world's most popular sport, but
a reason.
here in good old-fashioned America, we don't take too kindly to that sort of talk. So it is a pretty hot take. I'll put it right above Nicole's, Appreciate you, Felix. Next up, the man himself, Skylar Treppel. Go ahead, get in here, man.
All right, what's good, Reagan? I got a pretty wild take for you today, but there is some logic here behind it, and
Okay.
that is that Zion Williamson and LaMelo Ball are going to form the next dynasty on the Los Angeles Lakers. They tried to team up in Chino Hills at high school, where LaMelo Ball was dropping 9,900 points. It did not work out. LaMelo's averaging 20, 8 assists, 7 rebounds. Zion Williamson, most points consecutively ever, 20 points with 50% shooting, doing things we've never seen on a basketball court. They're going to join up in LA and win multiple championships.
Okay. I'm glad to see that your Lakers optimism has returned in
Never.
light of a really tough season, man. But
Yeah.
I got to say, that's a little too hot for me, man. But there's a lot of Lakers fans that'll probably agree with you. I'm going to stick it right there. No one's being Carlo
I'll
yet,
take it.
man. Maybe our last man, our local madman himself, Alex Blau. What you got for me, man? Can you
Reagan,
beat
when I
Carlo?
got the call that you wanted a hot take, I called up everyone I knew in the league and I said, hey,
Okay.
who are the Falcons taking late?
Okay.
They said, don't tell anyone. It's going to be Drake London. Then I had a thought.
Okay.
If Drake London is on the Falcons, Marcus Mariota will establish himself as not only a top 15 QB in the NFL, but a long-term answer. I don't know if it's in Atlanta, but somebody's going to come picking him up afterwards. He's going to be the guy again.
Okay. So you're saying only if Drake London
No,
is an
Drake
Atlanta
London's
Falcon.
there.
So he's there now.
He's there. I knew he was going.
I got to tell you, I've seen Marcus Mariota play a lot of football.
Yeah,
I love the guy. I loved him at Oregon. But
Yeah,
there's a certain point where a hot take just, it becomes a lie. And at that point, I have to put it at last because
No.
you're against
No.
the premise here. It's supposed to be hot
No.
takes, not hot boils of garbage. Come on, man. Get out of here. Get out of here.
Okay.
That's terrible. Anyways, that's our hot take segment. Appreciate y'all for tuning in. Let's go ahead and throw it to another one of Carlo's calls. We'll see what he got going on with the football and a really peculiar play. Let's see what happens with that.
Mississippi State, LA Tech. I mean, if you were watching any other game, you're watching the wrong game. Here's the snap, second to go. Oh my, gets away from the quarterback. He's got a chance at the 30. No, the defensive backs are there, taking football to a whole new meaning. Use your hands, not your feet, young man. Kicked back inside the 20, all the way down to the 18, and finally recovered by LA Tech. A loss of $1 million and then some. Oh my goodness, Mississippi State had a chance for 6, but the defensive backs, instead of falling on it, well, they're just kicking it around out there on the field. A tough go. That's going to be in film all week long. But how about the effort by number 81, able to get there inside the 10? Got to give him props.
Some say it's the only reason Cheech and Chong are funny. Others are too stoned to answer the question. Every draft day has drama. Does anyone remember Josh Allen's offensive tweets? Or how about John Elway and his dad doing their best Bo Jackson impression? No? What about Eli and Archie Manning doing their best Elway impression? And who could forget Browns GM Sonny Weaver Jr. Meticulously working the NFL draft board like it were an unlicensed doula? But it's Laramie Tunsil's draft day drama that takes the cake for me. Coming out of Ole Miss, Tunsil was the #1 OT in the draft and was even thought of as a surefire #1 pick. Until hours before the draft, in 2016, a video of him smoking marijuana out of a gas mask was posted onto his Twitter. Tunsil slid down the draft board and was eventually drafted by the Miami Dolphins with the 13th overall pick. And this is crazy, because not only is the video hilarious, but he's really showing off his lung capacity. Guys, did you seriously censor me on the final show? You know what? Whatever. Tunsil later said his Twitter was hacked, and he finally was able to talk about it yesterday when he announced the creation of a gas mask NFT, with portions of the proceeds going to support those incarcerated for cannabis offenses. But it raises a serious question. Football's a brutal game, and on the highest level, it extracts a lasting toll on the players. So if weed is so stigmatized and frowned upon, what does the NFL condone their players to use for pain management? To start, I feel it's important to give NFL credit where it's due. It's made progress with weed even since 2016. In fact, the NFL no longer tests in the offseason, starting on the 20th of April, but it begins again in the preseason. But still, though public support for marijuana is at an all-time high, it's still impossible for a player to experience the Josh Gordon and Randy Gregory without, missing a whole season for repeat marijuana use. So if the devil's lettuce isn't the answer to relieving players' pain, what does the NFL provide? A 2017 survey of 50 NFL athletes detailed a culture of fear. Fear that if you do not suit up and play, regardless of health, the next hungriest guy will step in and steal your livelihood. The world's most brutal game of finders keepers, and at the center of it all is narcotics. The main player used to be Toradol. Of those 50, 100% said they either took a shot in the rump or a pill full of Toradol hours before the game. 2/3 said Toradol was still so accessible to them that the teams often had no paper record of who was taking what. And 23 of those 25 said not only do they experience Toradol, but they're dependent on it still. Despite the massive injuries worsening by playing through them, there was concern over Toradol's side effects going into the 2011 season. Doctors voiced theory that Toradol may be putting players at greater risk of brain injury due to their blood thinning effects. So the NFL began monitoring and, cutting back the use of Toradol. But in cleaning the mess, they exposed an even uglier stain that had once again reared its ugly head: painkillers. Over half of former players who were surveyed said they'd used prescribed opiates during their career. And of those 50, 71% admitted they misused the drugs. Whether it was for pride, big paychecks, or fear of losing that job, painkillers presented themselves to NFL players as short-term answers, but opened the door to long-term problems. 63% of those who admitted to misusing opioids claimed they got it from either somebody than their doctor. Teammates coming off surgeries with extra Percocets, family members, coaches, trainers, the list's extensive. This wouldn't end their playing career either. Another study found that when retired NFL players abused painkillers at 4 times the rate an average person, with 52% admitting to using them and 71% meeting the criteria for misuse. There's no denying the struggle is real, but the NFL is ultimately one big show, and you see what they want you to see. Sometimes this opiate issue is directly in front of us, yet we still can't tell. In 1995, Brett Favre made a name for himself, but the same year he would win his first MVP, the star QB admitted to popping 14 Vicodin for a single game. Once the NFL nurtured him into the painkillers, Favre took it upon himself to change. He put himself in rehab 3 times for opiate and alcohol abuse, and thank God he was able to get clean. And he's lucky to proceed to live a happy and healthy lifestyle. You can still see him play football every Sunday. He looks good in Wranglers. So what can be done? First, there has to be a serious culture shift, from the way athletes prioritize their pay over health to problematic stigma surrounding addiction as a sign of weakness. Maybe players would be more likely to get help if they, weren't financially penalized for sparking up. Secondly, somebody within the NFL has to hold teams accountable for what they distribute, how much or how often they distribute, and whom they are distributing to. Because if 70% of people who worked for me became addicted to opiates, the only way I'm keeping my job is if I manage a 70s rock band. You can literally pick any 70s rock band. And third, while the NFL is a clear perpetrator, painkiller abuse in sports is a major issue. Each sport has an intense pressure to perform, high physical demands, and extra mental stress. And if we all, as a sports community, take a step back and look for pain relief alternatives that won't destroy the player's future, we all come out as winners. Now, we have a lot of great bloopers from throughout the season this year, so stick with us, and we're going to show you them right now. No, I'm not even letting this go any further. First off, if Cole Anthony wanted to play the entire game with his shorts around his ankles, he'd probably drop 30. If the Orlando Magic wanted to play the entire game with their shorts around their ankles, they'd probably win a game. The NFL. While some claim it stands for the National Football League, others say the letters may mean not for long.
Anything is possible. The Los Angeles Lakers can still win. Yes, this is the lowest point.
What will it be like without Coach K?
Kind of weird.
Welcome back to the water cooler. Reagan Griffin Jr. and Skylar Treppel have joined me here on the desk, and you know they're itching to talk basketball.
If you're talking about the #1 seed Kansas City Jayhawks, it would have been the ultimate late oven egg.
Kansas Jayhawks, not
That's
Kansas
a Kansas
City.
City.
Oh, Kansas City is in Missouri, Reagan.
You know what? It is what it is.
Did you learn nothing from Alex last week?
You know what I meant. In that first clip, you see a little bit better defense from Jaren Jackson Jr. Let me go ahead and show you the second one real quick. Yes.
Brady was in retirement for 40 days. Jesus was in retirement for 40 days. So here's a quick recap of how everything went down earlier this week. Take a listen.
Good.
Yeah, I'm excited. Nicole looks like she came ready to fight the Nightman, which is always hype. Love that.
Yeah,
Nicole looks like
that's my
she's
goal.
been buzzing with flow.
So why are you back, man? For what?
Maybe he should learn how to cook, and maybe he should learn how to keep his mouth shut.
Your guys' teams, or your guys as well, the people who you're defending.
Now, I'm going to take
that
my
pick?
glasses off for this because I got to explain it.
All right. So we're heading into the great debate. So let's roll the bump. Today's question is loaded.
The top of the NBA is better than it has ever been, and let's just talk about how Jokic has transcended what should be physically possible for a player.
Stable. It's Joel Embiid.
Well, hey, narrative schmarative.
Nicole, you played softball, right? You were a pitcher. Did you ever have the desire to take out someone's legs like that?
Oh, I did that all the time.
Oh, Oh, she's crying, he's crying, I'm crying. I don't know what's going on.
Hey,
Talk
that's
about
all the
weak
time we have for,
offenses.
Skylar. We can discuss the rest of this later.
Welcome back to the Cooler. We have a special season finale version of trivia for you. Reagan, Skylar, here's the rules. We're going to go ahead and alternate between questions. They're multiple choice. If you want the multiple choice, you can only get 2 points. If you want to answer without the multiple choice, you can get 3 points. If the person gets it wrong, the opposite person can steal. And at the end, we're going to go ahead and count them up. Now, first, we're going to start with the draft question, and whoever buzzes in gets to start us off.
Okay, gotcha.
Are you ready?
Yes.
I'm born ready for this.
Here we go. Oh, real quick, we have draft, USC, stats, champs, dumpster fire, and random.
I don't do stats.
I don't do math. All right, here we go, starting with the draft question. Charlie Ward won the Heisman in 1993. Which pro sports league did he end up going to play in? Oh, I'm going to go ahead and say Skylar here.
Okay.
Do you want multiple choice or
Yes.
no? You do. A, the NFL, B, the MLB, C, the NBA, or D, the NHL?
Okay, I am going to say the NFL.
We have a chance to steal Skylar.
Charlie Ward played in 2 sports leagues, NBA and NFL.
We got a correct answer.
Come
2
on,
points
man.
on the board.
I do this.
Trick one.
2 points
I
on the
do
board.
this.
Now, alternating here, it is your pick again because you stole. Which category would you like to go in?
Dumpster fire.
Dumpster fire,
Yeah.
starting us off. And it's automatically your choice. You have a chance to steal.
All right.
Worst winning percentage in pro sports. Do you want multiple choice or no?
Like all time?
All time.
Give me multiple choice.
Multiple choice. Here we go. A, the Seattle Kraken. B, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. No way. C, the San Diego Padres. Or D, the Minnesota Timberwolves.
I'm going to...
Ooh.
Can't steal.
I was right.
Can't
I
steal
am
yet.
going to take the San Diego Padres.
We have a chance to steal.
I'm going to go with the Minnesota Timberwolves.
Nobody gets it right. The Seattle Kraken.
Really?
Unfortunately,
Yeah, 'cause they just started.
score of 2-0 Now to you, Skylar. Which category would you like?
Okay, I'm gonna go with stats for this one.
Stats.
Dang.
Stats, you have a chance to steal.
I'm bad at math.
How many goalies have scored an NHL goal? Multiple choice or no?
Yeah, multiple choice.
Multiple choice. Here we go. A, 6, 8, B, C, 12, D, 14.
I'm going with A6.
A6, we have a chance to steal.
B8.
B8, nobody. Only one question right, fellas. What are we doing right?
Hey,
the correct
man.
answer was C12.
Not on.
You
Hold
chose
it-
stats.
holding lead, holding
Back
the
to you.
lead.
Which one do we want to go for here?
Give me draft.
Go
Give
in
me
draft. We have a special question coming in from
Okay.
up top. Chance to steal. Whose name did executive producer Daniel Halpern announce with the 26th overall pick in the 2016 NFL
I
draft?
know this one.
So no multiple choice.
I know no multiple
No
choice.
multiple choice.
That's
Let's
a
hear it.
Memphis-made man, Paxton Lynch.
Paxton Lynch.
Come
is the
on, man.
answer.
Come on, man.
Okay.
Y'all can't throw no Memphis
I
questions
don't know
at
if
me.
that's a sports question,
Reagan,
but
we're going to end it on that. You clean sweep, 5-0.
Let's
I
go.
don't know what happened.
wait, it's over after
It's
two.
over,
Wow.
unfortunately. That's
Okay.
all we got. But stick with us because usually we'd be done. It's the season finale. We got a lot more water coolers. So
Memphis,
stick with us after the
Tennessee,
break.
man.
Okay.
You love Uber Eats, the #1 app for getting your favorite local and chain foods delivered right to your door. Uber Eats is proud to present Uber Feeds. We want to go all the way for our customers, which is why we will have Uber Feeds delivery drivers literally feed your meal to you. Safety is our #1 priority, which is why every driver is vaccinated. Better yet, download now and get a delivery and feeding absolutely free. Uber Feeds, stuffed in more ways than one. You love Uber Eats, the #1 app for getting your favorite local and chain foods delivered right to your door. Uber Eats is proud to present Uber Feeds. We want to go all the way for our customers, which is why we will have Uber Feeds delivery drivers literally feed your meal to you. Safety is our #1 priority, which is why every driver is vaccinated. Better yet, download now and get a delivery and feeding absolutely free. Uber Feeds, stuffed in more ways than one.
Back to the water cooler. I'm here with Reagan Griffin Jr. and Skylar Treppel. So, unfortunately, we don't have time for a draft update, but that's what your phones are for, right? You can check your phone for that.
Obviously.
So we're going to get right into it. And the only great that could possibly compete with the greatness of the draft is our very own great debate. You guys have had some time to cool off from that trivia, but
I'm still hyped.
All
I'm
right.
still here.
Skylar,
Come
it's
on,
time to get
man.
your revenge.
Wanted a
Roll the
few
bell.
more. Yeah.
This is your moment, Skylar.
I'm good. I'm just here to have fun.
So LeBron is out after not making the playoffs, and we saw KD and Kyrie getting bounced, having been swept in the first round. And now we see Chris Paul getting harassed by Jose Alvarado, with Jason Tatum starring as the Celtics completed the sweep, Ja becoming one of the most exciting players in the league, and Giannis already debatably the face of the league. Has the old guard been dethroned?
Trick question. Charlie Ward played in 2 sports leagues. I'm kidding.
Yeah, exactly.
No, of course they've been dethroned. I mean, it's happening right in front of our very eyes. Look at the past 4 MVPs. Giannis won back-to-back. Jokic won last year. This year, it was Jokic again, right? So that's 4 straight MVPs of the new guard. You got Giannis winning the chip last year. You look like the Celtics poised to win the chip this year, led by Jason Tatum. You look at who's left in the playoffs. No Nets, no KD, no Kyrie, no LeBron. The Clippers weren't even there. The Clippers folded when they did have their opportunity with both Kawhi and Paul George on the court. It's happening right in front of our faces. The old guard, as good as and talented as they are, as legendary as they have been, these young bucks are ready to take the throne in this league, and I'm excited to see it because they're all vastly talented.
I'm very excited to see it too. It's a circle of life in the NBA. It's a beautiful time. But as you said, you're ready to see it. I still just don't think we can count those dudes out yet. LeBron and Kevin Durant were leading the league in scoring about halfway through the season, and everyone was saying, look, they're doing it just like 2010. Now they're out of the playoffs in the second round one year, and the narrative shifts to they're too old, they're out. And so I get it, but I still think that when they're at the top of their game like this, you can't discount them as sort of being irrelevant to the conversation. I think that we're actually at a time where you're seeing the new guard, but it's still to beat LeBron and KD. And once it becomes that they're trying to take down Ja and Tatum, I think that's when you can really say that the old guard has been replaced. I got to comment on some of the players too. Steph and the Warriors are arguably the favorite to win the chip.
Steph
right
is
now.
definitely the guy who's had his place still solidified amongst the old
yeah,
guards.
exactly. He's still, but I still think Kyrie just averaged the most points he has in his career for a season. Pretty ridiculous timing as far as all of the vaccination stuff. Same with Kevin Durant. He had that whole season, and he was a toe away from beating Giannis last year. I got to say one more thing too with the chips is that Giannis is the only one of the new guard who's won a chip, and that's because, as much as we don't even want to think about this, he's going into his 11th season. He's barely the new guard.
Yeah.
And I think that
he's still under 30.
He's still, yes, okay. Yeah, if we're, there. He's under 30. But Kyrie is like a year and a bit older. So it gets
that's
very
true, that's
dicey. But it's just such an exciting time in the NBA. Tatum hits a game winner.
Yeah.
I mean, we see Giannis, we see Ja just taking it up to the absolute next level. I just think that I still think that these guys are too relevant to say that the old guard is finished. When Jimmy Butler is leading the Miami Heat, when CP3 leads the league in assists, I think we're a season or two away. But appreciate these guys while you can. And like I said, it's an exciting time.
You got to appreciate the talent while you have it. And I'm by no means saying that LeBron James or Kevin Durant are irrelevant when we have these conversations. But when I think about who's at the forefront of the MVP conversation year in and year out, is it still LeBron James? Is it still Kevin Durant? Or is it Nikola Jokic and Joel Embiid and Giannis Antetokounmpo? When I think about the guys who I'm most excited to watch on a night-to-night basis, is it still Kawhi Leonard? Is it still James Harden? Or is it Ja Morant? And is it Darius Garland out there in Cleveland? They're taking the throne in the sense that they are the driving force behind what the NBA product is now. If you took LeBron James and Kevin Durant, I'm not saying that this is something that you necessarily need to do, but I'm saying that the NBA product would uphold better with these young guys still here rather than with the old guys out, because at the end of the day, they're phasing out.
Those are the guys leading the jersey sales, drawing fans at the end of the day because they've grown. That's why Ja will be #1 in jersey sales, but just not yet. And I think that you're still seeing some of the turnovers in the playoffs from some of the young guys. It's just some of them don't have the three-point shot yet. They're going to get there. They're going to be exciting. But when LeBron and KD can still perform at a night-to-night level, I don't think you can say they're done when they still have the ability to lead the league in scoring.
All right, guys, I hate to break this up. As always, you know that by now, and I'll definitely miss having a front row seat to witness the goats of the great debate, but I certainly won't miss fearing for my life every time I have to cut Skylar off. But guys, it's time for Carlo to steal the spotlight now with the last call of the show. Let's take a look.
Bay's free throw is up and true, and Detroit takes a 12-point lead here on the Lakers in the third. And then a technical foul after. Is this on Stewart? Isaiah Stewart, LeBron James getting into it. Stewart is not happy. James being held back. Isaiah Stewart now being restricted by 4 or 5 of his teammates. Oh my goodness. The Lakers season was a dumpster fire, but fights with the Detroit Pistons, the most irrelevant team in basketball. Stewart now pushing over people. Isaiah Stewart is loose. Oh my goodness, Isaiah Stewart running over people, tossing assistants. LeBron James nowhere to be found. He's now yelling at his own teammates. Cade Cunningham trying to control Isaiah Stewart. Well, the former UW alum has got blood down the side of his eye. And somebody signed him up for the UFC. He's in the wrong sport. Stewart trying to attack LeBron James. Now, there's Russell Westbrook. Stewart's taking off like a defensive back. There he goes. Isaiah Stewart battling referees, running over assistant coaches. Westbrook still confused why he hasn't been traded yet, and so are the rest of us.
All right, I'm back in my favorite place with my favorite people, Anisha Banerjee, Nicole Sheeran, you already know. And we are the chicks of the cooler. Roll the bump. Ready, guys? Chicks.
Chicks of the cooler. Chicks. That was horrible.
Sounds so bad. Okay, there's a reason that we're not pursuing a career in singing. It's the last show for these two queens, and the impact they've made on the water cooler is absolutely insane. They're closing this chapter and walking off into the sunset to go make their mark on the world, in fashion, should I add. As the three of us started reflecting on our graduation, which is just 15 days away, it got us.
That's crazy.
I'm sorry, don't cry yet. It got us thinking, what are the best walk-off moments in sports history? So before you shed a few tears, you're gonna have to share your pick here. Who had the ultimate mic drop at the end of their career? Nicole?
All right, guys, you know with this one I had to go with my Georgia Bulldogs. It's only fitting that Nakobe Dean had the most iconic walk-off, wins the national championship, breaks the curse against the Tide. Then he enters the draft his junior year. I mean, they held the Tide to 1 touchdown that entire game. He led the team in tackles and sacks. And if you didn't watch the game, the whole Channing Tindall, Nakobe Dean moment where Nakobe Dean essentially saved Channing Tindall's butt for missing his coverage. Nakobe Dean is an incredible, incredible player. And that was like the bow on top. Beating the Tide, breaking that curse, seeing the look on Nick Saban's face. I mean, you couldn't ask for a better finishing college football moment.
Wow, I always learned so much from you. Okay, I guess my pick would have to be classic Jim Brown, also a Georgia native. He played from 1957 through 1965 for the Cleveland Browns. And then he stopped playing football to pursue an acting career,
Nice.
which was crazy because he was such a record breaker.
Yeah.
And then just dropped out and started acting. And his first movie was The Dirty Dozen, and he had many successful endeavors after that. I think that's really cool. And so
Yeah, there's so
he
much.
was also a civil rights movement
Okay, yeah.
person. So, I mean, how many things can one person do, you know?
Yeah, he's definitely made his mark on society. I mean, it's clear as we still talk about him today. And there's so much to be said about going off and pursuing your passions. I mean, I think we can all relate now. Okay, so when I think of best walk-offs of all time, Michael Strahan is the first person that comes to mind. And his career is not come to a close yet. He's still thriving in his journalistic career, his broadcasting career. But as far as his professional football career, after 2006, the Giants thought he was going to retire. He didn't show up to anything preseason, didn't show up to training camp, and he shocked everyone, came back, and that same year, it was the 15th year of his professional career, 15th and final. He knew it was 15th and final. It was their first championship year. So, I mean, he set a new franchise record with 133.5 total sacks, and that game was actually Super Bowl 42. In that game, he had 1 sack and 2 tackles, but that was actually considered to be one of the biggest upsets in NFL history. They beat the undefeated Patriots, which was insane. Okay, so as you guys, you might be leaving the couch. Okay, I'm literally gonna cry. But I can't wait to visit you both wherever you end up, and I hope that you know that you always have a spot on my couch wherever I end up. Okay. The future is so bright for both of you, and I can't wait to see all that you accomplish. So you can take the chicks out of the cooler, but you can't take the cooler out of the chicks. I don't know if that was the line, but I love you both so much, and you know that. All right, I'm happy you guys are saving your tears because we're not quite done yet. We have a super special senior send-off where we look back at some of the best moments from all of our graduating seniors, so let's check it out.
Carmelo,
But he scored
37.
more than LeBron that game.
That was one game.
It's
Scott.
gonna
It was
happen
a
again.
hell
It's
of a
gonna
game.
happen
It was
again.
a hell of a
Reagan,
game.
you know better than to question Skylar. He's going to ride or die with Melo.
Okay, saying that Kyrie Irving will get vaccinated, will be able to play a couple
I thought you said you were a realist, though. I gotta say, it's the USC Bulls. I mean, the Chicago Bulls. They got DeMar DeRozan and Nikola Vucevic.
Skylar?
Absolutely. I mean, when you got a 2-quarterback system, everything's pretty confusing. We saw Tom Brady play 22 years. Can you imagine if you saw him throw a pass to his son? That's what this is like, man. It's crazy, but I think it's probably going to be one of the best storylines, not just in NBA history, but in sports history.
I'm with you
Absolutely.
100%.
WNBA players, unlike NBA players with their multi-million-dollar contracts, are going to Russia to have to play to make 4 times as much money as they do in the WNBA in the off-season. It's just disgraceful, and it can't stand, and it doesn't fit with where we're going as a society and towards equality at all.
I just will say, we're saying bye to Coach K, and I think we're saying bye to the Blue Devils. Take on the Tar Heels. As you all know, the Winter Olympics just ended, if you watch them. And I thought, you know what, let's pick a USC athlete in the Olympics. Well, there actually aren't any. In the Winter Olympics, Anna Cockrell. She's a baller, a killer. Oh boy. All right, my favorite's gotta be The Blind Side. Sandra Bullock, Tim McGraw. It's a true story. Who doesn't love a true story? Michael Orr, he played at Ole Miss. He goes off to play in the NFL. It's such a heartfelt story.
I think Tom Brady should have stayed in retirement. That is my hot take. He's the GOAT. We all know he is. He has nothing left to win. He's won everything. So why are you back, man? For what? You've done it all. Go back home, act your age, spend some time with your folks, your family, your kids. And leave some room for the people who have some stuff left. I can't even look at this. This gives me like my failed 7th grade tie-dye project.
Oh,
yeah. I don't know what
he's entering a blizzard.
Yeah, I don't know what he's doing. Like, what's going on?
Right.
You know, she's wearing a sari with her cleats. That's pretty iconic right there. And Indian girls everywhere. We grew up with that, and I think that's so special.
I love that. Yeah.
Show, but first, starting with NFL talk, Dan, making your debut, you get the first question. That is your dark horse team.
I gotta go Nuggets. The Nuggets,
they are.
they're really getting that chemistry down. Jokic, Jamal Murray, Will Barton's even really stepping up now that he's got that big contract.
So we're gonna play a very simple edition of I Used to Matter in the Freshman. And we have our in-house freshman, Dan, with us today.
The resident freshman.
Resident freshman. We use it for everything. He gets us coffee every morning.
Well, speaking of sports information, Will, I talked to your dean, John Callahan, the other day, and he said that the program burned out right after you left. So what could you have possibly done to kill an entire program by yourself, Will?
No, you know what? I think it was because I graduated.
I'm going to stick with the Lakers on this one because I think come playoff time, there's no team that's better suited. They have Anthony Davis and LeBron James, who are both going to be playing at levels that they have never played in their careers. I'm saying it here first on the water cooler.
All three of us are officially XFL season ticket holders.
Woo!
Los Angeles Wildcats.
Go Wildcats!
Or we're going to get kicked out of our first game.
Oh, yes. 100%. 100%.
Will the league last an entire year?
No, absolutely not. I'd just like to welcome Richard Jefferson to my water cooler office right now. Richard, thanks so much for joining us.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
All that and more is coming up on the water cooler, so stay locked.
All right, the man behind the madness, Daniel Halpern, has joined us here on the desk. The show is coming to a close, but before we get to final memos, I want to give a special shout out to Rebecca Tabor and Brandon Kim, who are working behind the scenes. They're also graduating seniors, and they deserve the world for making us look good all semester. So special shout out to them. So after that senior send-off, we thought it would be fitting to give one final send-off to all the teams who have already been eliminated from the playoffs. Sending my condolences to the Hawks, the Bulls, the Nets, and Dan's Nuggets. Dan, how are you feeling?
Yeah, honestly, I was excited that I could come on the desk one more time to talk about the Nuggets. This isn't how exactly I wanted to talk to everyone about them. But sometimes you just got to put bad things to an end. This is not one of them. This is the best thing that has been part of my life, unlike the Nuggets this season. But they'll get better. Much like this show, I believe it will continue to grow. It's been here long before me. I hope it'll be here long after I'm gone. And it's really just been an excellent opportunity to grow as a person, meet new friends. I showed up day one at a meeting. Lauren Marola said, hey, we talk sports and drink stuff. So talked to Will Ferrell, talked to Richard Jefferson, a lot of people, and I made great friends. So thank you.
I'll tell you something, Dan. The Grizzlies are going to go ahead and take the Warriors out for you next round. They're going to hold it down.
Love to hear
Just
it.
like I'm going to hold it down for you on this show moving forward, man. Appreciate you.
Thanks, everyone.
All right, that's all the time we have for today. Thank you.